All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And it's nice to see a lot of names and only three faces. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's life now, I guess, with our online sessions. All right. I was following the Q and A's, the poll that was being taken, and it's pretty much what I would expect from any random group that we might pick. So we are not very skilled at what we call empathy. But so what we'll do is we have about 20 minutes. Okay, there goes my stopwatch. 20 minutes. We'll cover what empathy is, try to understand, and we will slowly run through that and end up trying to get some pointers on how we can develop this. In my circles of counseling and psychologists, empathy is known as the superpower that is a must for any counselor, any psychologist trying to help another person, without which you don't actually make much progress, because you can't help someone if you don't even understand what they are going through. Now, how many of you would understand a word called uh, Einfühlungsvermögen? Anybody? Well, I wasn't even able to say it when I first read. It's a German word, Einfühlungsvermögen, which we'll get to in just a bit as to what it means. It actually means feeling into. I saw some of the responses that you put down saying sometimes you are caught up with what you are speaking, and you don't pay attention to what the other person is saying. Sometimes we pay attention to the other person. We don't even know what they're saying. Um, Understanding what the other person is going through is on two different levels, but we will look at what this entire thing means. Somebody put down the response as saying being walking in the other person's shoes, which is exactly what it means. If I were to buy a new pair of shoes and you think that they're just shiny, fancy looking, but I keep telling you, man, they're looking okay, but inside they're biting me. Once biting me at the back, and I'm going to get a sore the next couple of days. You could look at me and say, what the heck are you complaining about? I mean, they look so great and they're nice dress shoes, must be really costly, but what are you complaining about? So you wouldn't really know what I'm talking about unless you actually put those shoes on, and then you realize, oh, now I know what you mean. And that is the meaning of walking in another person's shoes. And you would have heard the phrase, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes before you start judging them. Or you might also use the idea of what we call tuning in, which would mean, for example, let us say um, there's there's a radio station somewhere which is broadcasting at 102.3 FM. Now, if you have a transistor, a radio, or any kind of a device that can tune in, unless you tune into that frequency, you would have no idea of what the broadcast is about. And you won't hear the song of yours or the program of yours unless you tune into that frequency. So for you to understand what the other person is going through, you need to get to that frequency. So a good analogy would be to tuning in to what the other person is saying, which is not easy all the time. Now let's look at three different levels of these feeling into another person or feeling for another person. Let's start with pity, right? Pity is also a response that we give when we see someone suffering. But how would you define pity? Anyone could speak up. Jobin, have you muted all of them for my protection?
I guess
Okay, the chat is open. You can
the
just
chat
put it in
is
the chat, right? How would you define pity?
host. Is it
Welcome
available
back
for
to
everyone to?
someone, Caroline. Yes. Anybody else? Let me give you an example. You could think up of your definitions and put them in the chat box. You're watching TV in the morning, and you see there's a train accident. 3 people died, 20 injured, and a whole lot of hangama going. So you see the pictures on the TV, and then you say, "Oh my God, so sad." And then you blame the government for it. You blame the train inspectors and probably the driver and everything. And you watch it for 2 minutes, and then you say, "Hey, where's that omelet of mine and my coffee? I'm getting late for work." You felt sorry for them for about 2 minutes, and then you realize you have a life to go on with, and then you don't feel anything beyond that. If you're going in traffic, you see someone just fallen on the roadside, probably a small accident, someone fell off the bike, you say, "Oh, poor chap," and then you go on. That's pity. You're just feeling sorry for someone without any involvement whatsoever. Then there is the second level. Okay, could anybody else come up with any definition with that example of mine? Okay. So, Carolyn, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, bullseye, when you said just feeling bad. You just feel bad, nothing beyond that. Then there is sympathy. Could anybody differentiate between pity and sympathy? Do you think they're different, or are they one and the same? Unsure? Almost same. Lighthouse is saying sympathy is when you can unmute yourself. No? Oh, that's for us to unmute ourselves. All right. So, Carolyn, you're right when you're saying almost the same, but there is a little difference. And that difference is sympathy is more emotions involved. You know what they are going through. Zaira, you're pretty much there. Yes, there are more emotions involved. You're right. And you do know what they're going through, but you go a step further. All right. Sympathy is feeling like what the other person is going through. So you are emotionally involved, unlike pity, where you're not emotionally involved at all. But sympathy, you're not just involved, you're over involved. Sympathy is when you start feeling like it's happening to you and you react like it's happening to you. Okay. How many of you here cry in the movies? Anybody here who cries in the movies? When somebody is killed in a movie, when one of the persons in the couple is going away to a foreign land and can't be in touch anymore. Yeah, I'm, yes. Okay, you speak for yourself. Don't say Joseph cries. Yes. I don't really cry in movies, but sometimes a music track can make me cry. Okay, just the way it feels. So I'm probably tuned into music more than into people. I don't know. But the idea is you are crying as if that's happening to you. You're sitting in the movie and then you feel, oh, I feel so sad for that guy. And then you're feeling like it's happening to you and you're reacting. Okay. A friend of mine used to give this example. He said there was this kid who was going up a tall building, let's say Charminar in Hyderabad, and wanted to jump off. A policeman caught him and said, "What the heck are you doing?" He said, "No, my life is full of problems. I just want to go and die." Cop says, "You tell me what your problems are. I help you." They sit down there for half an hour. The college kid, tells the cop all his problems, and half an hour later, both of them jump off the building. Why? Because this cop, listening to the entire story, now gets so involved, he feels, oh my God, I mean, if I had such a kind of a life, I would probably jump. But while this seems like, it makes you seem like a sensitive person, the reason why this is not great is because you have become so overly emotional and involved in it that you don't think straight anymore. You don't react in a manner where it is helping the other person. What kind of a help are you going to be if you go to the hospital and you feel sad for the person who's lying there with his leg cast in the arm and you also start crying? And you say, oh, I remember 2 years ago, my leg broke. It was so horrible. You start crying. You're not helping the guy. You're making him feel worse. So sympathy, yes, emotions are involved, but slightly more than necessary. So a good balance between these two would be empathy. Remember the German word, which means you're feeling into that person. You are clear minded. You are tuning into that part of you, which probably felt a certain way when you were hurt. So you're now trying to imagine, oh, how did I feel at a certain point of time when I was hurt? That is probably what this person is going through now. So now you're tuning into that person. You're trying to understand what emotion that person is going through. You're digging deep into your own emotional experiences and saying, oh, maybe this is what the person is going through. But you're not letting the emotion take over you. So you don't sit there crying, or you're not getting angry at something that has happened, but you're trying to feel what this person is going through. And now, because you are clear minded and not emotionally involved, you can think of what to say at that point of time, how you can help, or even help the other person say, okay, man, don't make emotional decisions right now. Let me help you think. So empathy would be for us to be available. It involves listening clearly. And remember, it's not just listening to what the person is saying, it's not the facts of the matter. It's listening to those feeling words, it's reading between the lines, it's tuning into those verbal and non-verbal clues, so you really understand how deep the hurt is. Whichever emotion the individual is feeling, you can tune into that. It means that you have to go beyond factual knowledge and be involved with that person's feeling. And this is the most essential part when it comes to my field of work. This is the superpower. It is required. But why is it required for us with our family, with our friends? How can you help? One, understanding at an emotional level helps much deeper than at a content level. If you're saying, oh, so you got less marks, oh yeah, that's bad. But if you get to understand what the individual's feelings are, why is this important to you that you should have had more marks? What does it mean for you to get less marks? And then you understand why that person is hurt, is angry, or distraught. Then that person feels, okay, now someone understands what I'm going through, or why this is important for me. And when feelings are acknowledged, the other person opens up more. They feel more accepted, and that emotional block is removed. Now that person will go into further detail with you. If you just tick off facts, oh, so you failed, so what, 10 other people also failed, no problem, next time you can get more marks. No, you're not understanding what he or she is going through at this point of time in life, right? So empathy, which helps you understand what their feelings are, what their emotions are currently, will help them open up to you because they now feel accepted in what they are doing. Second, it also helps develop the other person develop their own awareness and experiences. Because when you ask some questions, are you feeling this way? Is this right? Am I looking at it the right way? Sometimes then they are drawn to saying, okay, let me actually go back and think. Is this how I'm really feeling? Am I overreacting? So you are helping them also to evaluate their emotional responses. Eventually, when also feelings are reflected back, your friend or the person that you're with will get a better understanding because you're pushing them towards self-exploration instead of just giving a blind emotional reaction. Okay, so how do you then go? Let's look at 5 different ways of responding or what we do. Sometimes we just advise and evaluate, the person will shut down. This will create barriers in the relationship. Sometimes we we analyze and interpret. When we analyze, interpret, they come up with a defensive behavior. Then they start justifying why they're feeling, how they're justified in feeling that, and all that. If we are reassuring and supporting, that reduces the intensity of these negative emotions they might be feeling. If we go into too much of questioning and probing, the individual will feel threatened. It almost sounds like we're interrogating them, and then they come up with defensive answers. So, not too much questioning and probing. Try to get more information without getting too intrusive. And finally, there is paraphrasing and understanding. If I repeat what the other person is saying and say, okay, so if I hear you right, you are saying you are disturbed by this because this is your past experience, because you do not like certain things, because there was an incident that happened earlier and this is similar. And so it's bringing up all your earlier emotions. When you paraphrase, the other person also knows that you're actually paying attention because you're repeating what they said. Then they know, oh, so the past 10 minutes you were actually listening to me, you've picked the points that are bothering me. So paraphrasing and understanding, reassuring and supporting are a better way to go rather than too much of questioning, analysis, and advising. Okay, now having learned what empathy is, defining it, understanding what kind of responses actually help a person to open up more for us, we'll look at how do we develop empathy. Number one, the Greeks said, know thyself. So you have to be in touch with your own feelings. Remember that time when someone said something to hurt you. Remember that time when you were ignored. Remember that time when someone insulted you. Remember the time when you lost a loved one. If you can go back to those experiences, then you know what your feelings are. And then learn to describe these feelings, not just express them. Okay, most Eastern cultures, especially Indian culture, we are prone to expressing our feelings. We make a face when we don't like someone, we shout at them, we get angry, we bang the door, or we look at that person come walking in this door, we walk out that door. This is all expressing our feelings. Learn to describe your feeling. When you say, I am upset with you, I am angry with you, or I am hurt by this, don't leave it for the other person to make out what's happening by looking at your face, because they might be there is a large scope there for misinterpretation, and you don't want that. Learn to describe your feeling. Learn to expand your vocabulary of feeling words. For example, quickly type whatever comes to your mind in the chat. Give me other words for anger. Rage, furious, frustrated, turning into a Hulk, the Hulk, annoyed. Okay, 10 more seconds. Short tempered, wrath, rude, yes. 2 seconds. Okay, good. So you are like most other groups that I have spoken to, going on a rampage. You are like most of the groups that I have been with, which is more than 80% of the words that are given to me are usually stronger than anger. Anybody out there who thought about something which is on the milder side? Being irked, annoyed is here, I did that one. Being cross with someone, being irritated. So if you put them on a scale now, you know, anger can go by just being irked by something little, being cross with someone that you love, being irritated by what a family member or friend does, to actually being angry, to being rude, to being frustrated, furious, and going on a rampage. You see how many words we've come up with? So when someone says that I'm angry, you should be able to help them put their finger on this scale of anger. Are you really irked with someone, or are you raging with anger? Are you furious at them, frustrated with something? Then that person also is drawn to paying attention to what is the depth of that emotion. They say, oh, no, 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 I am not actually so mad that I want to kill my brother. I'm just a little cross with them. So just by putting the right word, helping the other person put the right word, you brought down the intensity of that anger to a much manageable level. Now that definition is going to help this person feel better understood, is also going to define and help them put together their response. Okay, so um, my ex-colleague used to say, give an example of someone who walked in and say, I'm so mad with my mother, I want to kill her. Said, oh, okay, so let me help you kill her. She said, oh, no, no, I didn't really mean that. I'm just a little angry, a little irritated with something that she said. See, you've diffused the situation already. So develop a good vocabulary of uh, expression for feeling words. Listen to the person's verbal and non-verbal expressions. Just look at their face, their actions, it will tell you. More importantly, ask God for compassion and self-awareness, so that you know that you are in no position to judge the other person. You've been there, you felt that. If we can have compassion for other people, because someone showed us compassion when we were down and out, when we were angry, when we were mad, then you look at other person and say, I understand why you might feel. You will not understand the exact way they are feeling, but you can understand, have a good feeling about it. So it's also very difficult for us to hold back, but please be careful when you say, oh, I know exactly what you feel. No, you don't. Their relationship, their situation, their problems are unique. But if you can dig deep into a situation that you felt at one point of time, you would then start showing empathy and would help the other person. Okay, so here are a couple of quick empathetic responses that I'll give you as examples you can use. One, listen very attentively. Two, ask what are the core messages in terms of feeling, experiences, and behaviors. Ask them, oh, so you feel like one, two, three, four feeling words, let them pick. And you say, oh, you feel like that because, let them fill in the blanks. Then they'll tell you why they're feeling like that. That venting itself, that they're able to tell someone why they feel angry, why they're feeling sad, or why they're in rapturous joy, will help you understand better and also make them feel comfortable, make them feel understood.